Chapter 1. Elena Andrews walked toward the general store, thinking about dresses and shoes. Since it was a lovely spring day, she chose to walk the mile to town, instead of riding her horse or taking a buggy. On the way, she delighted in the sight of birds, searching for grass or straw to build nests, wildflowers budding in the fields, and leaves that were about to burst open on the trees that lined the road. She finally arrived on the main street of Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, and was gazing at the newest building, a tailor shop. When she stopped dead in her tracks on the walkway, she gasped and pressed herself against the front of the hardware store, but could do nothing except stare. 3 men, with handkerchiefs covering their faces, were fleeing from the bank and were running in her direction. She stood there, frozen, her eyes wide with fear. Each man carried a cloth bag and looked to be heading for a buckboard parked just 5 feet from where she stood. The driver, hat pulled down over his face, sat on the wagon bench, prompting the men to run faster. The driver whipped the horses, and the wagon jerked forward just as the men reached the vehicle. In their hurry, one man nearly missed grabbing onto the moving wagon, and the handkerchief flew off his face. Elena gasped as she recognized the man. As they rode off in a cloud of dust, the unmasked bandit turned, looked at her, and made a slashing gesture with his finger at his throat. Elena received the message loud and clear. Identify me and die. Minutes after the wagon had disappeared in a cloud of dust, the sheriff's men dashed after them on horseback in pursuit. She didn't know how long she stood there against the building, quaking in fear, until Cuyahoga Falls Deputy Sheriff John Hammond shook her arm. "Are you all right, miss?" he asked. "I'm all right," she said weakly. I never saw anything like it." "Did you recognize any of the men?" Elena shook her head. "Look, you're pretty shaken up. I'll have one of my deputies escort you home," he said. Elena simply nodded. She still stood, pressed against the building, when Deputy Tommy Clements approached her. "Let's go, Miss Andrews. I'm taking you home. Are you sure you're all right?" "I'm just shocked is all. The bank gets robbed at least 3 times a year. We're used to it by now. We already have deputies chasing after them. Come on." He pointed to his shiny department vehicle. "Into my chariot." She sat down beside the deputy and said, "If you catch them, you won't tell them I identified them, will you?" "So you do know who they are?" he asked as he whipped his horse lightly. "No." She quickly covered her remark. They gave me a look, is all. I'm just worried they'll think I recognize them and turn them in." "I'll be sure to mention you didn't see a thing," he said with a laugh. Elena couldn't for the life of her figure out why he'd laugh at something that frightening. As soon as the sheriff's department vehicle stopped in front of her house, she jumped down and ran inside with barely a wave to the deputy. She ran up to her room and threw herself on her bed. Her older sister's fiancé just robbed a bank. What would she do? If she said anything, she knew he'd carry through with his threat. If she didn't, her sister would marry a criminal.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.